Hey, alright, we got the recording of the review. This is the second time in a row that we haven't finished the goddamn map because it got hard. Now,
It got really hard.
it's worse than the last one. That's the weird thing. First thoughts. Meta, you're gonna go first on this because, well, limited of time. You're about ready to go off to bed anyway. So, go ahead. What are your first thoughts on this before we get to the review?
What my first thoughts are on this? Oh god. Well, at first I thought it was actually really interesting, and at least until the difficulty hit us right in the face with a sledgehammer at Mach 2.
Yeah.
With a gigantic sledgehammer, I might add.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that difficulty pretty much hit us hard, and we had to cooperate and we had to get our shit together really fast in order to be able to take it on. I honestly found that it was straightforward, that they've actually improved on a few things from the last map that I had a few problems with.
Yeah.
I did notice a bit of lag, though. But I think that was just from all the zombies.
Well, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, so...
You done with your first thoughts, or do you have more?
Yeah, I'm pretty much done. I'll get into what else I think of it when we continue on.
To the final part of the review. Kyo, do you have any thoughts on it? Other than it crashing on you twice?
Well, the problem with it really isn't the problem with the map per se, I suppose. It's a combination of things. It was just the way the map was programmed. It didn't react well with my skin mods.
True.
And that, I don't know, it might have just happened to be the mods I was using. Because the mods I'm using, I believe, are slightly larger than the actual character models.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to hold that against it. Because my kind of using a strange, oddly sized skin mod.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you done?
Yeah.
Okay, Dread, how about your thoughts?
Map was pretty good. I kind of liked it until until tanks kept screwing us over.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Alright. My first thoughts, it's better than Mob Stadium by far. It's a lot more colorful, it's a lot more interesting, it made me actually want to explore, and it had a lot of custom. It was so much better. Like, they improved on a lot of things I had a problem with the last map. However, difficulty. Difficulty is key into a fun game. This wasn't that fun. It went out easy, and then hard, then back to easy, and then back to hard. It didn't know what it was trying to present in difficulty.
It could have been going based on averages. 2 hards and 2 easies make an average.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It ended on super hard.
Yeah, it went a little bit too hard at the end.
Yeah, it went from hard, like, easy. It's like, okay, you press this button, we know what's going to happen. Because rule of thumb of the last one. And then it got hard. Like, they put too many zombies at once. Then they threw a tank in that mix. And they threw some specials. Then we got to that. Then went back to easy. And then went back to hard. Did that whole thing again. Then went back to easy. And then it came out super hard.
And then it forgot what it was doing, and then it went super hard.
When we went back and did it again, and we got the gnome, it went and did the same trick until we got to the final, where we knew what was coming up, and it bounced the difficulty to hyper hard somehow. I don't know how, but it happened. Because we didn't even make it to the skull. Now, I don't know if it's just me, because I had a grenade launcher, and I did hurt Kyo in the process, which I'm sorry for. I wasn't intending to do that. But even at that, I was only hurting one person. And even at that, he crashed even before he died. Because of a jockey. And even I was having problems with taking care of tanks. Taking care of zombies. So was Dread. So was Meta. There's just it changed difficulties on us somehow, and I don't know how that works.
It could have something to do with the number of zombies that were presented to us at the time, and on top of that, 2 tanks were chasing after us simultaneously. So,
well, it's not only that; it had to go through it twice. Like we had to go through 2 rounds of that shit. It wasn't just one where we had to take on 2 tanks. We took on 4 tanks, plus about 200 zombies, plus specials, and then you have the giant head. And you shoot it in the eyes. At least it told us where to fucking shoot it. But
did it actually hurt us?
No, that was another thing. It was a different type of boss.
It just kind of was there.
It was there, you shoot it in the eyes, and it dropped out zombies from its mouth. But other than that, that's all it did. Which begs the question, why is it there? I understand it's supposed to be a boss, but if it's a boss, you would think when you shoot a boss, it's supposed to attack you. This didn't attack us.
Well, it did attack us in the way boomers attack you.
And yeah, but even at that, it really wasn't a threat. Bosses are supposed to be typically a threat. It bothers me when...
I guess you're kind of right, because it just kind of went floating around, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, it stood there and like, okay, you're supposed to shoot it. I get that. But you went from the last one where those bosses did attack us. You kind of expect that in the second round, you know. Anyway, let's get on to the review. Okay, 5 stars max, 1 star minimum. Number of infected. Meta, you go first. Keo will go second. Dread will go third, and I will go last, like always. So, yeah. Number of infected.
God, that varied a lot. Really, it did. It started out okay in the beginning, and then we got to the spaceship, and, we took care of that just fine. Especially once we figured out that they're all kind of bottlenecked in that one little ship areas, and they always charge down the ramp, so it was easy for us to just line up, start hacking and slashing at them away.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird way to phrase that. Anyway, it just seemed to keep bouncing around. First, we were fighting like very little infected, and then all of a sudden, we were fighting like hordes upon hordes of infected. And the infected, it didn't feel like we were I guess. No, that doesn't seem right either. But yeah. We were kind of being overrun with these infected. These tanks were being added on to them as well, and that kind of increased the difficulty slightly more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very confusing as to how I should adjust myself to this, because even with the way I play, even I can't beat this. I remember when I played this with my other group, we couldn't get past the last boss either. I can't remember if we did get past the last boss, but we were pretty good, and we still couldn't get past it. So I don't know. I think I have to chalk that up more to map design rather than Horde. But as for the Horde overall, I'd probably give it like 3/4 of a star.
Alright. Keo?
Yeah. It was a lot of things. It was kind of really inconsistent, like he said, with the infected. So you don't have a bunch of them. Now, not so much. And then you have some more. Lots. I mean, I know it did kind of that setup where it's like, you're halfway through it, you fight the mini-boss. Which was that one room which you could get punched off and died. I guess it was kind of supposed to be a mini-boss, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, well, with the comparison of that mini-boss to the actual boss, it was just so much everywhere. It's too much, I thought. Way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just didn't balance itself out properly with the. So, yes, half a star.
Alright. Dread?
I thought the fact they were kind of sporadic too, because it was like at the beginning where we start up in the spaceship and the UFO just comes down and opens up. There's a huge horde of zombies, and then there's no zombies after the tank. And then when we go into that room, there's a few zombies, and then when we turn the lights on, they just pour out of the walls.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps being sporadic like that, and so I'll give it half a star.
I'm going to give it a 4th. It bothers me to play a map that does that. To have a map where you set up the beginning where you take on this giant horde, and then you go to the next part where there isn't a horde at all, and you kind of expect it to happen. And I'll give it the fact that it is timed, like it's all scripted, but you put it in like so many different ways where it doesn't feel right. It feels like we're going through a campaign where it has 4 different parts to it, and at the end of each one, there's one tank, there's a couple of specials, and a bunch of common. And that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And they chucked it and they just threw it all into one map. To me, that bothers me. It felt like it was too quick. It didn't feel like it was given a whole lot of time for us to kind of find healing items. It was kind of one of the weirdest things, and it changed difficulties on us so many times. I don't like that. You can't, if you're going to make a difficulty set for one map, and you want to say, okay, this is kind of a hardcore map, even on normal, there's a lot of zombies coming on screen, there's a lot of specials. We've done maps like that. In fact, we've done one and successfully beat it. But again, we also had 3 extra bots. Now, given that map was hard as balls because, well, we took on 27 fucking tanks in that one. But even at that, it gave us a chance. This one didn't seem to want to give us a chance. It did everything in its way and do everything out of its way to make sure we didn't go on. In a way, I like that, but again, I hate that too, because that's not making it fun. That's just trying to cheat your player out of a win. And especially by changing how many infected are in each place. So yeah, I'm giving it a quarter. There's too many parts where it was overwhelming, and not enough parts where it was balanced. And that's a problem, especially the finale. The finale is probably the worst of it. Alright, moving on to length. I don't know the length. It's a 1-part map, so I always kind of forgive it. What do you have to think about that?
The length. I think, well, how long was it? About 15? Was it about the same length as the last map?
It seems shorter.
It might have been shorter, but then again, we kind of sped through it the last time.
But even
So
before that, it felt shorter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say about the last map was 17 minutes, so I'm gonna say this was about 14, maybe 15 at most.
Okay. If we went on one straight run of it, yeah.
Yeah, 15 minutes at most. It actually didn't feel like 15 minutes.
It felt shorter than that,
Yeah,
at least to me.
Yeah,
but I think that's because on our second and third playthroughs we kind of had it down.
Yeah. The first playthrough, if we went and actually successfully got to the final area, it probably went about 20 minutes for us.
Yeah,
Then the rest of them took about 10, so.
So the length seems just about right for like a normal campaign, but at the same time, I don't think it would work out as well for a map.
Yeah, that's the thing is I'm always forgiving. It's usually based on what you feel on this one. When you have a 1-part map, basically it's just the map itself. It's forgiving on how much time there is. So it's based on how much you feel. If you think it was too long, like you felt like it drug out way too long than it should have, or if you thought it was too short for what it gave, that's up to you.
in that case, it definitely feels like it was right for length. So I'm going to give that a full star.
All right. Kyo?
I'm only gonna give it like 3/4 a star. It was long enough for that, in my opinion, but I don't think it was really long enough to really deem the full star.
Okay.
It just felt too short. If I'm gonna download a map and actually play it, I mean, I want a little bit sometime into it. At least feel like I have.
All right.
I mean, yeah, just not long enough on its own.
All right. Dread?
I thought the length was okay. Because if you think about the last run, if we put up in enough time, it would have been probably equal to... If we took enough time to try to beat the whole thing after the last attempt, when we knew about the secret stash and everything, probably would have equaled about maybe half the time it usually takes us to do a normal map.
Yeah.
I guess I'll give it a full star, because for one part, it's actually stretching its time, even though the end is kind of BS about how it's stretching the time.
And that's why I'm giving it a half a star. It's the end that has all the time, and even the ending is just standing in one area. Going through the whole thing, the first time we actually got through the entire thing, which was the second round, everything was quite interesting. A lot of us wanted to explore it. It was kind of fun. But when we changed it and just went straight through it and run through it, it took us 5 minutes just to get to part 3 of that area. Just to get to where we need to place the gnome. And that's kind of weird. I don't know if we're just killing the scripted tanks faster. I don't know if it's just where we knew what to do next, where to hide, where to place ourselves. But it seemed like we were getting through it faster. And I get it, that's the same thing that happened to the core maps. Me and Keel were playing it earlier today with one of his friends just to get the new achievement, Good Guy Nick, which we did. And we went through No Mercy. That's usually about 35-minute campaign. We beat it in 28 with a brand new person who's never really played it on the PC.
And with, for some reason, it's spawning pretty much nothing but uncommon.
Well, yeah. Uncommon being one particular part where it was just hazmat zombies. It was the weirdest fucking thing. It was great because, hey, we got bile out of it, but goddamn. I've never seen that happen in any map. But other than that, that's all we've seen. And we still beat it in 28 minutes. And I know I can actually solo that even faster. So this one kind of does that same thing. And the difference between the core map of No Mercy and this, besides being at 5 parts and a lot longer, is that one's still a more interesting map than this. And even on length, this one didn't really have a whole lot of artificial time put in except at the very end. In the very end, we had 2 tanks, and that's just the finale. I can't forgive... Usually I would forgive the finale, but when that's the one that's making up the time, I can't forgive that. Everything else seemed fine up until that point. It changed like everything, because everything was fast-paced. This one slowed down. So, yeah, I'm giving it half a star. It's not balanced there either. Otherwise, I'm more forgiving on that. Anyway, we're going to move on to difficulty fitting, which is probably the one we're going to talk about most here. Meta, what did you think about the difficulty, how it handled normal?
Well, I've been kind of saying it throughout most of the review, but it definitely feels very polarizing for me. And really, the inconsistency really turns it off for me. And I'm not saying that I don't like difficulty. I mean, when it's done right, it's very good and it's very challenging and it feels rewarding in its own right. But especially when you manage to persevere, and Helm's Deep Reborn is a very good example of this. Like, if you survive the hordes of tanks and zombies, and the map pretty much gives you the chance to be able to survive it. If you're off by even a little bit, if your teamwork is off by a little bit, it'll just overtake you. But perseverance can make it work.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel that in this map. I felt like it definitely felt like there were like dips in difficulty, and then it just like skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that, I'd have to give it like a quarter of a star.
All right. Keo?
So many things and they've been said already. Yeah. I'll give half a star.
All right. Dread?
I'm actually gonna give it no star for difficulty, because the difficulty just kept switching on and off, like you said before, but like with the final boss set, it always shoots out zombies out of its mouth when you shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give it a 0 for difficulty.
And same with me. It's what Dread said. It just changes difficulty way too often, and you can't do that in a map. When you set the stone of how you do it the first time, you kind of have to stick with it. And this tried to do that, but it tried to do it in so many different parts where it gave you, like, here's a bunch of them, here's a break. Here's a bunch of them, here's a break. And the break was getting shorter each time. So there's really no sense of balance. If you're going to have it pretty much difficult throughout the whole thing, you kind of have to keep it all the way difficult. Like, you got to balance it out. And basically, the map Death Hour is probably the prime example of that. It kept that same difficulty throughout the entire map. It didn't really give us a break, but we kept persevering. It felt like we had a chance every time. We were getting closer and closer and closer.
Until something happened.
Yeah, and when we found something new, we knew, okay, we know that's ahead of time. We can get to that. We can pass through it, and we did. We kept perseverance. This one didn't have that. It felt like every time we get to one point, here's a bunch of fucking zombies, and then here's a small break. And then here's more, and here's a small break. And each one of those breaks, there's no healing items. There's maybe pills, if we're lucky.
No.
If we're very lucky, it didn't want to give us a chance. And that's a problem with any map. If you don't want to give your player a chance, the map's not going to be fun. And that's why you can't... That's why we believe this difficulty is really out of balance. It's part of that infected part that we had a problem with. It's part of that length. It's really part of that difficulty, and the difficulty is key in making a good map successful or not. If we like the difficulty, even if it's a little bit harder than normal it should be, we will tell you if we liked it, if it felt like it was balanced throughout the whole thing. This one didn't have the health items like it should. It didn't have the weapons like it should. It was kind of giving us that random chance with the weapons. It was kind of giving that random chance with health. It was giving that random chance of throwing out weapons, the projectiles. That's not right.
A lot of those.
Yeah. It was weird. And then we found the secret stash. Well, that's great and all, but you take it and give it to us at the very end.
When we think we're gonna need to save every little bit we need, and then we find out, we didn't need to save this stuff anyway.
Well, it's kind of like you're trolling us at that point. You're kind of like, say, here, we have the gnome. Well, now you just took out one player, so you made everything a lot harder because everybody else has to protect the one player who has the gnome. Given we did that. We did it because we wanted to see what was so special about that a little thing, that we thought maybe it was a secret. Like maybe a Portal 2 mod thing. But it wasn't. It was just a secret stash. If you have the secret stash, at least have it more conveniently placed. Like put it halfway through the map so it's a little bit more balanced. Somewhere where we can actually get the health. Because that was what we were really struggling on.
Yeah, the worst part about that too was that we couldn't even get access to the secret stash after we activated the event.
Yeah, and that's another. There's so much stuff in there. You would think it'd be that way. It's like what was the map that we played recently? It was there was only one way. There was a place where it was just full of stuff inside of it. And that place was nice. It helped us get through the map. Because that thing is very overwhelming in its own right. It had so many tanks come out, it had so many specials come out, but it made sure it was fair to the player and it made it fun. This one kind of took that away. It took this and put it in an outside room, which, hey, it's a nice for a difficulty change, but at the same time, you gave it to us near the end, which is nice to have the healing at that point, but you're going to expect someone to grab that grenade launcher. You're going to expect someone to grab that M60 and just kind of try to kill everything in its path. And it doesn't work because it ends up hitting your own players and it does shit ton of damage to them. Like I did to Keo. And I'm still sorry for that. But it's stuff like that. You change the difficulty drastically by giving your player free hand ability. If you're going to do that whole map the way it was, take the secret stash out or place it in a different area.
Or place the secret stash where the normal stash is.
Or even better yet, take away the stupid randomization and just give us the weapons. Because that's another thing I have a problem with. Because you don't know what you're going to get. You're either going to get a submachine gun, or you get a shotgun, or you get a sniper. And it's a random chance. And then the same thing with the melee weapon. It's a random chance. Given all players can get that weapon, it's still a random chance. And I don't like random chances put in a game when it's really kind of meant that we need those weapons to persevere through this map. So, yeah, that's a problem with difficulty. Anyway, we're going to move on. This number 4, design.
What was the score you gave that?
I gave it a 0. I gave it a 0 for difficulty. I think we can all agree that this design is so much better.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
well more
So,
lit.
that's the one good thing about this map. I think we can all agree
Yeah.
it's a 1-star.
Prove some well.
Well, not only that, it's so much more colorful and so much more interesting. It's a 1-star, I think, from all of us.
It had the jockey face rape pods.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I totally agree. I'll give it a star because it definitely looked at what was wrong with the first map's design. It looked at all the comments and all the ratings that it was given, and then it improved upon those features.
Mhm.
It actually gave you a good idea of what you had to do.
So yeah,
Of course, pushing the totems, the medallions buttons, that's a given, especially if you played the mob stadium map.
Yeah. So they had to kind of put that in there. I like this. I like how they designed this map so much better than it was before. The last one was bland, dark, no different changing colors. It was just really, really dumb. Whereas this one took it and expanded the idea, made it more like you're in a ship where you can travel around. And it was more creative. It put a secret in it. It made sure to make the sides colorful. It decided to take the customization to a whole new level. It was overall just a better design. Given first 3 are your problems, design you don't have to worry about. It's fine. Leave that alone. It is perfect. Anyway, this is
Although, if I do have to point out one thing, I said I don't know if this is attributed to design, but the being locked out from the secret room, not a very good design choice.
that too. Anyway, we're gonna move on to recommendations. Now, I said this last week that I will not be recommending any of these maps until the very final one we do. And I'll keep with that, so you guys can recommend this. I'm not going to this time, like last week, and it's going to be a 0 from me for now. Okay, as much as I do like the design of this map, it's going to be a 0 from me for now. So keep that in mind. So Meadow, would you recommend this game?
Would I don't think I would. Honestly, this map is kind of difficult. Unless I could beat it myself, I wouldn't really recommend it.
All right.
Especially if you haven't played Mob Stadium 2012, I still wouldn't recommend this. So, I don't know, really. So, I'm going to have to go with... So, I think it's up in the air.
So right now you're going to give it a 0.
Actually, yeah, sure.
Okay, because if you don't like the campaign and you don't want to recommend it, it's a 0. Alright. Kyo, would you recommend it?
Not really. What's the point if you can't beat it?
True.
So done.
Alright, Dread, would you recommend it?
Not really. It's the only people that are really gonna want to play this are probably the people that are really on about getting to the end and that have the time to replay it over and over again and memorize every single thing so that they know when things are coming, how many are coming, and how to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really gonna recommend it.
Alright. So that's 3-0 now. Officially 3 people that don't recommend this particular map. Me, I'm still in the air because, well, I made a promise. So anyway, as it stands, Meta gave it 3 out of 5 stars in total. Kyo gave it 2 3/4. Dread gave it 2.5. And I gave it 1 3/4. This map is bad. Outside of its design, it's just horrible. The design is fine. You don't really need to change anything there. Maybe less on those the pods for the jockeys, because I can see that being a problem. Well, especially with difficulty. But yeah, it's fun up to a point, and that point kind of changes everything to fun, to incredibly hard, to no longer fun. And we will play the next map next weekend. We'll decide how it works, because I believe we got to the end on this one. We just took on a giant version of the skull from the last one, which is another problem. You can't always use the same design.
Recycled bosses, oh no!
Recycled bosses kind of get boring. Hopefully the next one is a changed boss. This one, yeah, it was a little bit different, but it looked exactly the same, and that's a problem with me. Unless it's Mega Man, it don't work. And yeah, it's kind of just a boring map. It's fine with the design, everything else just makes just no fun. I wouldn't let anybody want to play this unless we had some really hardcore fans to really want to play it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for the next one, which I don't know the name of. Does anybody know the name of the next one?
I believe the next one is called Wormwood.
Okay. Well, we'll play that one next. That will be next Saturday, probably. And I hope you enjoyed the playthrough of this. I hope you enjoyed listening to our review. And please comment.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, what Meta said. We would like that. So anyway, see you all later.